Good morning, kids. And today we are going to deal with the last part of lesson number 6, that is the nervous tissue. And in the nervous tissue, basically we are supposed to understand about the structure of the nerve cell and how this nerve cell works. Of course, then we are going to take up the notes from the heading. To begin with, first of all, we should know that as far as nervous tissue is concerned, its basic unit, structural and functional unit, is neuron or the nerve cell. A simple question if I ask you, how do we move? Basically, which system in the body helps us in movement? The movement may be moving your hand, lifting a pen, writing with a pencil, walking away from a room, walking towards the classroom, either of those. What, according to you, should be the system responsible for all these movements? Can you tell me? Anyone out of you? Give it a try. It may be wrong. Anyone? Yes, Anshuman?
Yes, ma'am. The brain sends signals to the nerve cells and it stimulates the message and that causes the movement.
Correct. Now, I am just repeating the story what he has told a moment ago. Brain stimulates, gives command to the body so that it can move, correct? That means for movement, one we need is nervous system, the nerves, neuron or the nerve cell. But there is the second part also, which we usually miss in explanation. Even if the brain is commanding, if the muscular system, like yesterday we have covered about 3 different types of muscles. If I want to move my hand, I have to move the muscles of my hand. So the command has gone to the muscles of hand and the hand is moving. That means 2 systems basically. If I have to walk towards my class or away from my room or towards kitchen anywhere, 2 systems basically are helping me in the movement. One, nervous system. The second, muscular system. Whatever movement we do in day-to-day life is a combination of these 2. That means the muscular system as well as the nervous system. So solely either of those cannot make us move from one place to the other or move an object. Makes us help from walk or swim, glide with a glider. Any of those activities are not possible without the combination of these 2. Now, today we are going to understand first of all the basic unit of the nerve cell. That is, nerve cell is also known as neuron. It will have a head, you can say cyton, cell body, and this cell body, if you are calling it as a cell, it definitely will have a nucleus. And this cell body or cyton will have a tail that extends long. And this tail ends up in a structure that we call as nerve endings. Nerve endings. So basically, they end up here. And here in this part, what we call as cyton of the cell body, it has some projections, some root-like projections, and these projections are known as dendrites. Basically, you can say that the nerve cell or neuron is divided into two parts. The two parts are its head and tail. The better terms scientifically would be that this is cyton or the cell body and axon or its tail. Labeling a few more, of course, we may give the names, for example, nucleus, dendrites, and of course here, up to here, of course, we have the axon, and these are the nerve endings. Now what we call as information flows through nerve cells. Where are these nerve cells present? Nerve cells are present all over our body. You can say that all over human body, there are two types of channels running. Two types of pipelines running. One which supplies the blood. The blood that may be pure, impure, that means in arteries, veins, arterioles, venules, capillaries, wherever, blood. Second type of pipeline is one in which information flows. This information has got a proper term, and that term we call as nerve impulse. Nerve impulse is the term we use, wherein the transmission or the transfer of information takes place from one part of the body to the other. Now, of course, nerve cells are only transporting or transferring that information from one part to the next. And the signals run very fast. For example, if a pin is pricked, you immediately remove your hand from there. Two terms we use. We need to understand two terms if you are talking about nerve impulse. Then in case of nerve impulse, two words are very, very important. One is stimulus and second one is response. And there is one term we use in all these explanations. We use the term environment. Now what is new in this term environment? Environment basically here would be going also for surroundings, the area around you. Right now you're sitting next to you, your table, your room, environment, surrounding. Talking about stimulus and response. Stimulus. any change in the surrounding. Any change, that may be slight, that may be a major change. That change is actually the stimulus. Let's take some example. As a child of this 9th standard, I sat in morning at 7:30, and on my computer screen or on my mobile screen, there's a link appears that I have to join the class. So that link is a change in your surrounding. And you have received that link with the help of your eyes, sense organs. But in terms of biology, we use one more word for that: receptors. Your eyes have received that information. Information has gone to brain. Brain has this stored information from the previous experience in your memory, that seeing this link, you are supposed to click, and now I have to join the class. Maybe of any subject, but I have to click on the link. That information from the brain travels to your hand, and the muscles of hand work in such a way that your fingers go and click on that link. Stimulus was that change. The link here acted like a stimulus. Response: you had kept your finger on that link to click on the class. See, the reactions are so fast. That means these channels, these cables, these live wires, like here in Colony we have supply of electricity with the help of wires. It is supplied from one place to the next, and within no time it reaches us. Same way, the transmission of information with the help of these nerve cells are so fast. You are riding a bicycle and you saw a vehicle coming from the opposite direction. That is not leaving any space for you for the passage. Immediately your feet pull the brake if you are in a vehicle, and if of course you are on bicycle, it will be your hands which will be working for the brake. So the change in the environment, the stimulus was that fast running vehicle, and the response was pulling of the brake using your hands, or if you are in a vehicle, using your feet. Stimulus and response, they are so fast. We call another term in biology, we call it as a reaction time. This reaction time is very, very less. Here we see the stimulus and we give the response. Very simple example. In these two cases, the two examples I took, the stimulus was received by the eyes. But in some of the cases, we don't see, but still then we respond. Right now, most of us are sitting in our rooms attending the class. And there is this very nice smell of breakfast coming from the kitchen. I can realize that this is my favorite breakfast being cooked. I'm going to have it in next 15 minutes. The moment you get the smell of it, here the receptor changes, and here the receptor is your nose. It sends the information to the brain. Previous information. This is my favorite breakfast. Mouth starts watering without eating it. Of course, looking at your favorite dish, also the response goes the same way. Whatever is your favorite dish, and you see that, automatically the response comes that your mouth starts watering. Stimulus and response. Stimulus, of course, in this case was received by your nose. Again, the information to the brain. Again, the response. Response is that yes, I realize that this is my favorite dish. And for response, remember, the response is sent to two places from the brain, either to a muscle or to a gland. Here, when the salivation is happening in the mouth, the information has gone to salivary glands. They started secreting saliva. Another receptor is your tongue. Even keeping your eyes closed, if you are tasting something and you like it, then automatically, say for example, you are tasting a new dish, you had just tasted a little bit of it, and if you like it, automatically your hand will go towards it and you're going to pick up another one. Here, the stimulus was this taste, and the response again was sent to the muscles of the hand, picking it up again and putting it in the mouth. Of course, I gave you the example of pinprick. That means the last sense organ we need to discuss about is of course the skin. When it's pricked or you touch a hot pan, you immediately remove your hand from there. Hearing. Maybe you are riding your bicycle or bike very fast and suddenly you get the sound. Your friend is calling you from behind. And there are two types of friends here. One I like most, I don't like. So if I like the friend, I'm going to stop my vehicle, wait for my friend to join me. And if I don't like that friend, I'm going to move even faster. Next time when I meet you, I didn't hear you. So there the stimulus was received by the ears. All these symptoms, they are of course going ahead and creating these responses in the body. Now what is this response definition would be? It's the reaction towards any of the stimulus around us. Now a question arises, if this is the reaction time that is so much less, then how come the accidents happen? Mistake from both the sides, you can say. The speed may be fast, the road may be slippery, the reasons could be any. And of course, those who are addicts, alcoholic, drug addicts. In those cases, the reaction time is delayed. In some of the cases, it happens that a person who is fully drunk has been bet very badly at night by somebody, XYZ. They had slapped that person very nicely 2, 3, 4 times, and the person cries the next day. The response is delayed to that level. Reaction time increases. Nervous system is getting attacked by that particular alcohol or drug. I had a question here, and Anamika, okay, yeah, that's the right thing. Electrical signals, they are. Electrical signals means that these are actually the movement of ions only. So this is how the electrical impulses they flow. Now, how do they go from one nerve cell to another? I hope the kids would have drawn by now. And now I'm going to draw the diagram to make you understand how this information flows from one nerve cell to another. We need some space, so I'm dropping this labeling. All in all, if I'm discussing about nervous system here, nervous tissue related to nervous system, nervous system all in all will be central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomous nervous system. 3 types are there. But we here specifically discuss, in short, you can understand. Central nervous system basically we are going to study. That comprises of the brain, spinal cord, and the nerves. And beyond that, peripheral nervous system basically will be including these nerves. Central nervous system takes up only brain and spinal cord. And autonomic nervous system will be some of the internal organs, say for example in case of heart. The SA nodes, atrial node, that only generates the rhythmicity throughout the life. That means, in a way you can say that heart is autonomous to some extent. Pacemaker you must have heard of. In a nutshell, nervous tissue for 9th standard kid. If this question comes, what are the components of this nervous tissue or where this nervous tissue is present? Then my answer would be brain, spinal cord, nerves. And how this information goes from one cell to the next. Now, if in short I draw this we had drawn one axon, here axon, cyton, then axon, and here one more. End to end. We say that they join end to end. The nerve endings. Here also the nerve endings. We may say that the nerve ending of, if I label them as A and B, information, nerve impulse, electrical signals, out of all these terms, nerve impulse is the best labeling for this. This electrical impulse, nerve impulse starts traveling from cyton to axon, head to tail, then to the nerve ending, and then it is supplied to the next nerve cell on its dendrites. Now here I have made this round mark. This connection between the two nerve cells is known as synapse. In some of the books, you will find this as written as synaptic knob. Synapse or synaptic knob is the juncture, the connection between the two nerve cells or two neurons. And in this case, these two, the tail of one and the dendrite of another one, they don't get tangled up. No. There is a distance between them. I am increasing the magnification of this part. And how will I see this synapse? The synapse basically appears to me this way. Synapse or the synaptic knob, wherein the dendrite of one was coming, and here the nerve ending was coming up here. There is a gap between them, and this synapse has a transmitter, a neurotransmitter. You can say a liquid filled in that helps in the transmission of nerve impulse from one cell to the next. So here we have a neurotransmitter. This neurotransmitter allows the information, the nerve impulse, which it leaves. You can say there is this electricity signal. These are two live wires, wherein the current is flowing. And in a way, the current released from this cable reaches to other cable, following through the liquid we call as neurotransmitter, and information flows this way. Second thing, on the axon, at times what we have is a sheath, a covering. We call it as myelin sheath. If this myelin sheath is present on the nerve cells, myelin sheath, that is the myelin covering, if it is present, then such nerve cells, they transfer the information very fast. In a way, the information jumps from one cell to the this part, then from this to this, like this, the information goes. Now, common sense, if you have a 10-meter distance and you can take leaps If you can jump and cover that area, and second condition is that you have to walk the area. Walking is going to take more time. With the help of jumps, you can complete that distance in a less time. So this is what happens in case of myelinated nerve fibers. We give them the name as myelinated nerve fiber. The nerve fiber, the neuron, the nerve cell that has this myelin covering on it. Now the myelin covering helps the information to jump very fast and travel very fast. So myelinated nerve fibers, they transfer the information very fast as compared to those of non-myelinated. All the examples that I gave you for stimulus and response, wherever these connections are there, we give one term to them, that is reflex action. The reaction, the very fast reaction to the changing environment. In all those cases, the nerve cell that is present is actually myelinated nerve cell. And all those places wherein such fast reactions are not required, there we have non-myelinated nerve cell. So this is all about nerve cells or the nervous tissue. We are just going to revise what we have covered. We have covered the structure of the nerve cell, cyton, axon. Second, we have understood how the nerve impulse travels from one cell to the next. And we understood one more term there, and that was, of course, synapse. Information flowing will be having three major parts wherein these nerve cells are present: brain, spinal cord, and the nerves. Let's write the notes for whatever we have covered today. That is basically we are going to write for the structure of this nerve cell. And we are going to go a bit fast, trying to make sure that we are completing it fast. The nervous tissue basically composed of the brain, the spinal cord, and nerves. Now we are talking about nerve cell, also known as neuron. It has a cell body with a nucleus. It has a cell body with a nucleus. And cytoplasm, like any other cell. From which long thin hair-like parts arise. Here we are talking about dendrites. This was the first one. The second one is a single long axon. Single long part, that is axon, may grow up to 1 meter long. So it has basically cyton and the axon. Now here comes the definition of nerve impulse. The signal that passes along the nerve fiber, is called a nerve impulse. Is called a nerve impulse. That's the definition for the nerve impulse. It allows us to move our muscles. This basically helps us. It allows us, this nerve impulse allows us to move our muscles, when we want to. Whenever we desire, we may move a muscle, and that muscle will be moved with the help of this nerve impulse emerging from the nerve cells. That's all from my side for today's class. The chapter is over, and just do one thing, that go through all the questions, try to understand them. We'll discuss all of them in tomorrow's class. And if you find any concept difficult anywhere, that doubt can also be discussed tomorrow from the whole chapter if you feel like. That's all from my side, kids, today. Happy learning.
Thank you, ma'am.
Stay safe.